Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Love Tips with Renee and Clayton. And how are you? I miss you. How you
Hi
doing?
dear. Good to see you. How are
Good to
you?
see you. We've been getting such a great response. I mean, you've been
I
opening
know.
your whole
Lots of
heart.
comments.
What did you say?
Lots of comments and some questions.
Yeah, I know. So we need to address people that are out there that are lonely, going through situations. And last week we talked
COVID.
about the
Yeah.
dating during COVID, right? So how's everything going?
Well, you know what? It's a challenging time as you release a fantasy, something that wasn't ready to be in the way that I had imagined it,
Yeah.
and say, okay, so what's next? How do I open my heart again after some shock has moved through? And the
Yeah.
COVID makes it much more challenging because it's not as easy to just get together with people, of course. So I
Yeah.
think many people, and you should address that. You're experiencing that in your work.
Well, it has been a very busy time for me. If any of you don't know me, my name is Renee Piane. If you're just tuning in, this will be our 16th week. So
Wow.
we have been sharing love wisdom during your transition from a relationship, and many people around the world are going through breakups, shakeups, or disappointments in dating. And that is what I do. I help to heal people's hearts. And we are using my book, Get Real About Love, helping people, and Clayton read it, and I think it's
I've
helped you quite a
devoured
bit.
it.
Wow, you have lots of marks in there. I think that's really cool. Well, when people get real, as you go through a process of, healing your heart or getting back in the game, you really need to know yourself and get real with where you are, right? So today's segment is something that Clayton is doing right now. He's really getting clear about aligning his vision. And this, I invite you to go along with the ride with us today. So Clayton, when you got really clear on learning what you learned, right, and experience what you experienced, now you're more aligned with your vision for the very near future. Is that right?
Yeah, I think your work helped me step away from the emotional pressure cooker, shall we say.
Yeah.
I was very much on the rebound when I entered into my last relationship, as was my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of blinding emotionalism going on, and I think there was an element of us kind of feeling rescued by each other
Yeah.
from at least temporarily. From that was my sensation anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine to speak for anyone else, but I intuit that was going on. So how do I get to a more sober place so that the next relationship that I enter into, I'm asking the right questions. I'm not inebriating myself with any kind of fantasy thinking, but I have a list of qualities that I've made that I'm looking for, and moreover, an open field to run in, someone who's looking for the same thing that I'm looking for.
Well, most people haven't, I mean, busy people don't really take the time to get real, right? So in my work,
I imagine.
during, like, it's been all this time since March that we have been home and people have had time to reflect. And I've been doing these videos with you and other radio shows, and people are calling me
Yeah.
saying, my God, I need to get real with myself. I need to
Well, and to
really
break through
get,
the fear
yeah.
of how do I make this work in this current environment where I feel unsafe to even touch someone, let alone kiss them or have sex with them, or see them in a restaurant. People are all over the map in terms of every person's an individual and their level of fear as to how they're coping with the situation. I'm sure you know better than I.
Well, I hear from people in my flirting classes. I have all sorts of get ready for love classes, and I even have one for men called The Secrets into the Minds of Women. And right now things have changed. The whole dating world has changed, and even my little doggy is coming to visit. Um,
Hey,
he's
howdy buddy
here.
for me.
Everybody wants love right now, even my dog, right? So
Well, let's get into it and tell them how we can help them find it.
well, first, you have to create your vision, right? You have to create your vision. Anybody
You have to
out
know what
there,
you want.
really know what you want and stick to your goal, right? We like when Buddy comes down and he gives me love, I know he really wants food, right? So people learn by you knowing and be clear on your vision and creating vision boards and learning about what makes you tick. instead of the pain. Most people are so sad that they don't want to go forward in their life. They're staying in the rumination of the past instead of learning from it and thinking, wow, I was with somebody that drank. I was with somebody that, did little drugs and I thought I could handle it, or change them over
Right.
time.
The
So,
rationalizations.
as you get clear and get real about yourself, you're going to be able to articulate who you want online to others. And that's what we were talking about over the last couple
Right.
shows, is knowing yourself so well. So what did you learn from aligning your vision? Like, what were like the biggie things that came up when you started to go, wow, I could see how I might have not listened to my vision before.
Well, I think the first thing was to do my work, to be completely sober in a much more self sourced place, so that I'm not going to my woman to feel better.
Right.
But she's not completing me. She's not the finger in the dike to prevent the flood. I'm already feeling recovered from my last episode, whatever that was. And I'm welcoming someone new into an environment where I can be loving and nurturing and not needing to be fixed or rescued.
Right.
So that's a big thing for me. And then after that, I came up with a whole page and a half or more of characteristics that I'm looking for. Many of them are wants, this kind of figure, this color hair, that color. Those are really wants more than needs. A need for me might look like I need an open field to run in. Someone who really wants and is ready to have and invest in the kind of relationship that I'm ready for in my life. And that's not an easy question to be that direct about, but I'm finding that people really appreciate you just saying, hey, you know what? I'm really glad that you've decided to show up here and share yourself with me. I don't want to like get inebriated. I don't want to jump into bed with you. I want to just find out who you are. I'd like to learn a little bit about your family life. What's your orientation to relationships? I'd like to find out, do you drink a lot? Do you do drugs? Are you athletic? Some basic things that are going to create a feeling of compatibility. And that's just a couple things I've touched on.
People don't take the time. Most people do not take that time. And I think that we've all been guilty of it. You meet somebody, you're attracted, and then 3 months later you find out they don't even have a job, or they hate their family, or they drink all the time. I mean, you just don't know. So when you're in the book and you get into this, it's like you've done an inner reflection on your heart. What about the people that you are going to go forward with? Because now you're open. Because when people have blocked hearts, that's part of a vision. Like when you meet somebody and they're in the middle of a divorce, this may be a warning sign for you in the future, right?
Question. Do you find in your work that women are studying more and are much more available to have this kind of investigative conversation than men are?
Yes. I have been in the love business for 30 years, and my business started in 1992, teaching men how to understand the minds of women. Women have been reading books about love for years and years, and the men are very private about their affairs of the heart. I know, especially celebrities and people that are, powerful men and executives, and sometimes they jump into a relationship quick without investigating it because of media and Hollywood, right? You're in Hollywood, all the glam and all the love stories and all the soap operas that you've been in, put you in this. You were one of the most, I guess, famous soap opera stars, as your character, right?
But I don't want to rely on that now. As we come up on our time here, I am just realizing that, the past is useful to inform perhaps future decisions, but I don't want to go there and wallow in it. I want to forgive and not hold resentments against myself or anyone else. But how does that inform the choice that I make now? I see that as the value.
I think that the whole topic of what we just talked about, do men study, right? If you study golf, you'll do it, you'll learn tennis, you'll learn a sport. But women and picking and choosing a mate is one of the most important things that you really should learn about, so that you don't make a mistake and then have resentments because you got divorced because you married somebody within 6 weeks you thought was a magical connection, right? I hear about this all the time online with Tinder and the dating. Everybody's in a rush. I'm saying slow down, align your vision, and then ask questions before you jump in bed, before you get involved with somebody. And we'll be talking about sex next week, but this is the most important thing. So when I realized that when I was running around doing speed dating all over the country, I would ask men, where did you learn about relationships? Playboy magazine, television, porno. Women were studying every book. And in the beginning of the book, I talk about it. Men are now waking up because they're private. And you found me because you felt safe with me. I feel like I'm a safe place for men to call. I love working with men and ladies. You would not believe how sensitive they are. I mean, Clayton, your sensitivity and your openness gives other men the permission to do that kind of thing, because it's not a gay thing. It's not an emasculating thing. It's an empowering thing. Wouldn't you say?
It's a practical thing, dear, because your book is full of practicality. Yes, there's exercises to affirm and to go into the past and mine that information, but you don't tell me to stay there. You're saying, how do I use this information that's my life, it's my legacy, to prevent the kind of suffering that has been perhaps a recurring habit of mine? And as I look back on the last 10 years of my love life, for example, I see that I've chosen 3 long distance relationships.
Wow.
And I'm the common denominator in that. I'm choosing that.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I will say quite briefly that in mining and going back to past relationships and saying, what was it like to be in a love relationship with me? It was very powerfully informative, as you share in the book, for them to say, well, I found you kind of scared, a little bit intimacy avoidant.
Wow. I did the same thing, and men told me you were too busy running your company, and it seemed like you didn't have time for love. So ours were different. You were avoidance. You were like sort of half in, half out. And I was so busy that men said you were adorable, but you just didn't seem to have, they were aligned with what they wanted at that time. They were ready to get married, and they looked at me as the unavailable, busy Wonder Woman who was not really open to do what they wanted for their vision. So I'd run into guys with 3 kids at the grocery store years later, and then they'd call me and say, it was so nice to run into you. And I'd say, what was it like when we dated? And they told me just what I just told you. Wow. So it really made me and my family, and I just spoke about this at the Best You Expo. If you really want to know how you came across years before to learn, people in your family have a whole, a purview of what you were like when you were younger dating, and they saw you go through all the crap that you went through with different husbands or wives or whatever. And they'll be like, well, you did such and such. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that you know that, So I did that, and it's fascinating. It is so fascinating if you're open to it.
Let me just say also that what I look for is a consensus.
Yeah.
People have various points of view, angles on our lives. Yeah. Some of them very informed, some are not. I look for, what do I keep hearing again and again and again?
And what was yours? What was yours? I want to know. I know what mine was.
You're asking me now, personally?
Yeah. What was yours?
What I was saying is the intimacy avoidant. I thought I really wanted to be loved. I really wanted to be in an intimate relationship, but there was a part of my inner man, my little guy inside, who was deathly scared of that. Yeah. Now, I come from an alcoholic home background, and there was a lot of dysfunction in my family life, some go along to get along. My father was very harsh with me at times. So yeah. I didn't learn a great deal of trust, and a certain amount of that got projected onto my partners. And so when you're guilty until proven innocent, that creates quite an obligation on the other person. And if they're not even aware of the boxing match they're in, they can fail you pretty quickly because you're looking for the problem. Oh, there it is again. There's that unsafe quality. Yeah. I can run. I am justified.
Yeah.
And you find yourself doing that again and again and again. And then when it happened to me recently, I'm like, oh, wow, that's familiar. That's what I usually do.
Wow.
But I don't want to do it anymore. And so that motivated me to get real about love.
I am so sorry. I have a barking dog in my house. He understands, you know. I think that most people really do know, in their heart of hearts, that they have patterns. And sometimes when you get to hear it from other people from the past, then you can go, wow, I really did. So it wasn't a judgment, by anybody. But even now during Corona, a lot of people, I've been contacted by men, you know, from the past that had dated me, and they know that I'm happily married, but they're like, do you think you could help me find love? And I said, well, and they said, what was it like to date me? And I said, well, this is a part of my work. I said, well, you seemed like you just were distracted, or you wanted to reach a certain level before you would go forward with marriage. And now they're in that phase where they feel ready, or they've had failed
Okay.
relationships. But if you don't align your vision and create new visions and take a look, like, did I create what I wanted? So what did I slip on? Like, you know, so I'm going to read some things that I have in these chapter. It says, how do you describe your ideal man or woman? And you can tell us a little later, their career choice, because a lot of people think, oh God, I want a high powered, you know, person that's working all the time, making lots of money. And then they never see that person. So be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Like, describe that person. Education level is very important. And I get into like all these questions under each subheading, and personality type. And then this one, Clayton, is good for you to work on. How do you want to feel when you're with that person? Like, how would you describe how you want to feel now with the ultimate vision of
Oh, well,
your
that's
future?
very clear to me. Um, I have had this sensation that I'm working way too hard, that I'm not, I'm settling for that place of efforting all the time, rather than finding the kind of relationship that just does a beautiful synergy. And I'm not saying there's not work to it. There's not consciousness you need to apply, and to be loving and sweet and accommodating and forgiving and so on. All of that enters in, but it's not an overarching feeling like you're just, you know, pushing somebody where they really don't want to go. And I have sworn off of that kind of behavior, because I've realized the egotism that's in it, for me to presume that I can do that to someone else's healing process or their life in general. And to say, let me let go and let God. Everybody has their own higher power and their own vision of the divine, and they need to heal their way. I might offer something occasionally, but I've learned that I need to stay out of other people's process unless they ask, wow, you seem to be finding success in this area in our relationship. I see you so open. How do you get there? And Renee's book is one of the ways that I think I can say to everyone watching, this is the roadmap for how you get there.
I did it. The only reason I wrote this, if you're watching me, is because I had mistrust of men from if you look at this family tree behind me, from 4 generations of very powerful, beautiful Italian women who were left on their own to raise their children. And they warned me to become strong and to become protector of my own heart, like to protect myself so much that I actually had a guarded heart. So I went on a quest to find out how to open my heart, and through it I coached hundreds and hundreds of people through the process, because I've been doing this work for a very long time, and every person out there has a vision. So what is your vision? Mine was family-oriented man that loved big Italian families, somebody that would let me be me and not be jealous, and somebody that loved people. I was very clear, someone that took care of himself. And you brought up something really important. You are building a lifestyle with somebody, like your lifestyle fitting into theirs. And it's not always going to be perfect, but it's really good to know. Like I have clients and I go, well, have you ever really been, you've been dating this person for a month, you're all in, you're like super committed. Have you ever met their parents? Have you looked at how they live, know where they work? Have you met their friends? And they're like, no, we just have been like having sex on the weekends and having dates. And I'm like, so you don't really know that. He usually comes to my house. I said, well, have you ever seen where he lives, how he lives? you know, how he eats. Does he have food in his refrigerator? You know, and guys will go to women's houses and they're like, she lives like a slob. I never even knew that until month 3, because I was taking her to my house all the time and I never looked at how she lived. So it's really important to have lifestyle match, and that takes time to discover. Wouldn't you say?
Well, you know, as we come up on our time here, I think
Yeah.
that I think we've hit this pretty good to
Yeah.
not be afraid to make an exhaustive list of what you want, what you need, know the difference, and review it before you go out on a date with someone, so that you have an objective framework, not a rigid one, not to make someone march to it, but aware of what it takes to really create an involving and an open field to run in, I like to say it, because
Yeah.
I'm tired of feeling so confined and in a straitjacket that I can't express my love to the fullest that I want to without scaring or pressuring someone.
I understand. And I want to say one more important thing before my dog barks. No, it's the mailman delivering mail. I'm very sorry. I just want to say religion, food, lifestyle, living, the way that you sleep. I mean, all of these things are really important. And I work with couples before they're getting married, and some of them have never even talked about some of these issues. If you're going to build a life
Wow.
with someone, okay, like I'm meeting a couple, and the woman said to me, I don't know, he doesn't really dress the way that I want him to. He doesn't represent me in the way, but she doesn't know how to say it. It's interesting. All that, like, it does the person need to make a lot of money? Does their career matter? There's a lot of things for you to examine, because you're sharing your life, your religious life, your health, you know, the way you take care of yourself with another person. And I was, you know, I think family was my big thing. So once you know, this is the cool part, once you know and align your vision, then you moderate your questions to ask simple questions of people about their family, about the religion, about what they do that makes them fun, what would make them a good partner, right? And then you can say, wow, this is a guy that I would like, or a woman I'd like to explore. So we're going to be talking more about this and so much more. We're going to be talking about spicy stuff, about sex, and talking about sex too, because it's very important. And I'm so sorry. I'm going to let you meet Mr. Buddy. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. This is one thing that when you have a dog or someone in your life, they know your habits. So when he knows, my husband should not have let him out, but when he knows that I'm on camera or I'm on the phone, that if he barks, he will get attention. So we all have our own things, even dogs and animals. So I wanted to bring him in. But, you know, it's important. Like, for example, I did a television show one time called Pet Dating. Because think about it, you need to know, are you a dog person? So say if somebody was dating you, Clayton, I remember you used to have these 2 beautiful dogs. What were their names? I can't remember. They were these very gallant.
Tucker and Cheyenne.
Tucker and Cheyenne. Now, a woman in your life would have to like being cuddled by these beautiful, strong, very masculine dogs, I remember, and they were so beautiful. Now, animals are a big thing in a decision to find love. You know, I can't be with somebody that has cats. I had a guy that had 50 dogs in his house. He was a dog rescuer, and he goes, I can't find a woman. As soon as I went to his house, I discovered why. Who would want 45 little puppies running all over your house all the time? Because he didn't have a place to bring these dogs. So everybody has their vision. So get clear on yours, align your vision. I'd love if anyone wants a free consultation with me. I have a link that'll be under this video, and you can contact me so you can get clear on what your plan is to find love. So I'm very proud of you, Clayton. You are more clearer than ever. And I do have women writing to me asking if they can be fixed up with you. So who knows what could happen. But ladies and gentlemen, all of us need to get real about love. So thank you for tuning in to Get Real About Love Tips. Please send us your comments. Don't you just love it when they send things, Clayton? What would you like to invite your audience in Italy, and you're getting ready to go do a movie? He's not going to be here with us for much longer, but we're going to be checking in with
Be out
them
of,
once.
yeah, we'll be checking in. I'll be out of circulation for about 4 weeks, I think, shooting this film. And thank you, God, for some work during this COVID situation when many actors are scrounging just to make a living
Yeah.
in a bar or a restaurant somewhere. And I'm gainfully employed, so I'm very grateful. Thank you, Divine Presence. Yeah, it's, I'm going to take what I've learned from you, and it follows you right in your suitcase as you get on the airplane and go wherever you go. And I'm a different man as a result of these last 8 months of learning and the motivation, the feeling of loss that I need to learn about how to avoid creating again.
Well, I think you're very clear, and I am here to give you the, I guess it's like you've changed into someone that will be an extraordinary partner, and you deserve only the best. And I know that there are millions of women. I speak at conferences all over. If any of you, when conferences come, I miss being in front of people. I think that's been the hardest thing for both of us. We're both people. We're used to
Yeah.
being around the set and around people, and
Well, this
it
has
has
been our forum.
yeah. So this has been our way to share our love with you. And Clayton, I have to say I'm very grateful for your honesty and integrity. Women are looking for men that know themselves, and men, I'm telling you, if you read this stuff, it'll make you have power and knowledge that women wish you would know. I think, don't you think that the women that you've met are like, wow, where did you, how did you get so deep, because you say you have some pretty deep conversations with people, and that
I
you,
don't stay on the surface very long, especially if I feel an interest in someone.
yeah,
They're like, wow, you're a horse of a different paint job than I normally find on this, site where, a lot of guys are looking to hook up or are not particularly intellectual or don't have a developed spiritual life. People are all over the map. And women, I just find some of them who are serious about having a real relationship really notice when you're looking for that too, and you know how to look for that. And how to ask
articulate it. That's why as you speak, so everything you're thinking, everything that you're saying to other people, and everything that you pray for, you really need to be clear about it, because people are usually begging, like, God, please send me someone. No, how about send me somebody magical, send me somebody extraordinary, because you feel clear. And when you're clear, things happen fast. And I'm saying, Clayton, I know that it's been a hard journey. And for anyone out there that is going through a relationship, separation, when you do meet someone in the future, you're going to go, now I understand why that one didn't work out.
Well,
and I learned,
reboot what you've said and say it's been a very revealing journey.
Yeah.
Because it got my attention to some flaws in my character and in my system, and how I'm coming across to another. If I'm in need or I'm in fear, that's going to manifest in some negative way. And it's, Thich Nhat Hanh said something very powerful. We must learn to love others in a way that makes them feel free. And so,
of course, love is, when love isn't flowing easily, then it's not meant to be. You can't make somebody get it. And when you do finally know thyself so well, you go, wow, there must be another vision for me. So I'm here to help anyone create extraordinary love. There is nothing that makes me happier than getting a phone call, seeing the peaceful look on your face, or getting a phone call to say, oh my God, I finally met that person because of this work. And then I end up going to all these beautiful weddings, It's just so magical. And it's been 18 years since I've been with my husband, and I was very clear on my vision. And when something came in to tempt me, I would go, no, because my little girl wanted love at the time. And I'd be like, no. And that's what Clayton has been doing, taking control of that little boy inside of him and building that trust. And it is so powerful. So thank you. God bless all of you that are watching. Please put some of your responses, and we would love to hear from you. And call me if you need me, and pick up the book, because I think Corona time is offering people time to get real about love.
And you can find the full rendition of this video on our YouTube pages, you know, obviously mine, Clayton Norcross, and Renee Piane on hers.
Well, thank you for your love and your honesty. And anyone out there, thank you for tuning in. And we'll be back next week before Clayton goes off to his adventures. So God bless you all and keep your heart open to love. Bye for now.
Wow.
Hold on.